Hi, my name is Adrienne Wong. I'm working on something bigger with...
Dustin Harvey from Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Oh, I'm from Ottawa.
I'm Clayton Lee. I'm a Toronto-based performance artist. My performance is entitled, it's like a little happy face, a little flower.
So our performance is called Something Bigger, and it's a work in progress. Dustin and I met 7 or 8 years ago now. We're almost at our anniversary, our meet-anniversary in Vancouver. And at the time, Dustin was living in Halifax, I was living in Vancouver, but we were doing similar work. And we wanted to see what would happen if we did something together. And we created a show called Landline, which was here at Experimentica 2 years ago. And since then, we wanted to try something bigger. So here we are.
I think that it's important that that we have this opportunity to experiment, because what we do here at Experimentica is going to be invaluable going forward as we develop the project.
My performance was inspired by my, shall we say, love of stalking people online. It's when I was coming out and kind of becoming super queer. Part of that was me finding as many guys as I could online, seeing a photo or seeing someone attractive on the street, be like, how do I find it? So that was, part of the process, and, I still feel super shitty about it in a lot of ways, and this is my way into kind of feeling productive, feeling useful. How does the time I spent, finding someone's mother's maiden name, productive and useful, and kind of connecting people together, bringing them together in a more interesting way online.
One of the first things we started with was these surveys that we used to get an idea of how our audiences are understanding the work. So the surveys are pretty straightforward. They ask you for like a 4-word review, which is just a way of understanding what kind of words you're associating with the work. But we ask you 2 questions that for us are the real measures of the work, which is what do you want less of and what do you want more of. And so audiences will fill out those types of, like whatever it is that they want more of the show and less of the show. And with Landline, one of the things they wanted more of is they wanted to be more conversation with each other. What they wanted less of was less direction from us. And so, of course, there's more of those things, and we just created those lists. And so those became a set of parameters or directions or ingredients, if you will. And really, at the beginning of the process, we took those things and revisited Landline from a point of view of exploding out all of its parts, and then figured out a way of putting those key elements back together in a redesign, which then allowed for those more of things and less of things to take place.
One of the central ideas or images that we brought forward with Something Bigger is this idea of choreography, of moving bodies through the urban space, and how that would apply to a large group of people, and how that choreography could serve in some way as a conversation.
Yeah, which happened kind of a bit of an accident, really, because we were shopping Landline out to presenters, and one of the presenters we were in a conversation with commented sort of like loosely that the show was a bit of a choreography or a bit of a dance. Which in that meeting, of course, we went, yes, sounds very good. Exactly, that was the idea. But of course, that became really the inspiration or the ingredient in which we thought, well, let's create a choreography for an audience. And Landline has been presented at a couple of dance festivals, which, as theater makers, has been a real exciting evolution of the artwork that is able to sort of move into different spaces. That's something we're really proud of, and so with this new work, we're kind of trying to embrace that as much as possible.
I've been working on this piece now for about 1.5 years. It began as a 20-minute workshop piece where the task was to find everyone in the audience on Facebook, right? So I project my screen onto a wall and find everyone, and that was the very basic kind of first attempt at it. And then I moved it into a 4-hour quasi-durational work where that was the same task, but people were moving through the space. And what happened when it was a 4-hour work in a public space is the engagement became weirder and kind of more bizarre as time went on. People started taking agency with the work and started taking control of what I was doing. And to see how people responded to that really informed the further development of the piece, right? Where so much of the work is about how people are responding to what I'm doing and how I respond to what they're doing and how we create this conversation between one-on-one, but eventually more people in the space and among multiple people and different tasks are happening. But also to think about how, we spend time online, right? What does it mean for me to be broadcasting my screen onto a service in a public space for 4 hours at a time, where I'm not just on Facebook the entire time. I also get bored and watch Netflix for a bit, or watch music videos, or watch videos of Hello Kitty, or whatever I feel like, right? And how does that inform the energy of the space? And how does this all combine into something slightly wonderful, but mostly incoherent and bizarre, really?
One of the things we also sort of, I think, have in common a little bit is the disruption of those public spaces, those social spaces. So that the idea that we're playing a game inside of an existing platform, or that there's something going on that other people aren't part of or they don't know of necessarily, although it's not meant to be it's not meant to be subversive, but at the same time, we're disrupting the purpose of that platform. And I think that idea, especially in this moment that we're living now, in which, the way that our social spaces are being influenced, to create disruption in those spaces kind of creates a moment of opportunity or a moment of possibility for something, a different kind of relationship to happen.
Yeah, a relationship where it's not buying and selling, even though, and I don't think it's a coincidence that your work takes place in a public space, that our work is, they're infiltrating city streets, like we're setting these two public spaces next to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm interested in this idea of invisible work in a lot of ways, right? Most people will pass through the bar and not even see me perform and have no idea what I'm doing. What's happened in the past is, I did this in a bar in Toronto and they turned my screen off because they didn't know why I was doing it. Or people will be like, oh, did you know you were projecting on Facebook? I'm like, yes, obviously. No. Hello, yes. But also within this kind of invisible framework that I would say we're creating, how do we kind of create opportunities for deeper engagement, right? If people start wanting to engage with me, I'll take them, the more they're willing to engage, the more, or the deeper down the rabbit hole they're going to go. I'll take them to some wild places as long as they're willing, and I kind of suss out how much they want to play, and I take them there.
In Something Bigger, essentially, we're going to be playing a game with them. It's a game that we sort of have some basic rules for, and the point of playing that game is to sort of to play it together, to share it together, but also the game produces a kind of outcome that we are going to make use of.
So when they come to see the show, what they can expect is to go for a walk outside, so they need to dress for the weather. They can expect to be using their smartphones, and they can expect to be using Instagram.
People should expect kind of anything to happen. Ideally they'll have there's Wi-Fi in the bars that, creates some level of access there. If they have a computer, if they have a smartphone, that helps, but just bring whatever, we'll make it work.
With this show is Something Bigger, I think, because a lot of it is going to live within the Instagram world. There is the potential that you at home in Toronto, well, you're not in Toronto, but somebody in Toronto could be following the feed and playing the game along. There's aspects of it that they wouldn't get because there's things that are going to happen in the room in real time and space, but there's aspects of it that you could play anywhere.
Yeah, which is one of the design parameters, is like, how can we design a show that can actually take place in multiple geographic locations at the same time? And that's why this is sort of a prototype showing, because the information we get from here is going to be moving towards designing maybe an app or something that is going to support. It's a standalone solution to it. Well, I'm looking forward to getting back in the van, which I'm saying all is one word because it's written as one word. Saw them 2 years ago at Experimentica, and so I'm very excited to see this new piece.
I'm really excited about seeing Milk, because that image of Cheerios is ripped from my personal life. It's fantastic. I'm really excited.
Adrienne's been away from home for about a week now, so she's imagining her children eating Cheerios.
Off the floor.
And wondering if there's milk in the fridge.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see their work.
Oh,
shit! No,
It's okay. I said it first, fine.
I felt like that was a given.
No, I'm really excited to see Something Bigger. But really kind of all the works in the festival, and just see how...
Friend request? Denied.
Yeah. I'm excited to
But also, yeah, all the works in the festival, and really, I think most excited to see, what the audiences at Chapter and Cardiff are like, and to see how the work meets the people, and that's feels live, and that's really exciting to me.
So you're gonna add me as a friend? Is that how it works? You add me?
Yes, but when I'm doing performance.
Not right now?
No. And that's what I do.
Well,
I can also do that.
I feel like it's awkward if we have to ask to be friended.